me myself, I'm not even in a relationship. I'm not.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Hey guys, nathanENT back with another video. How's it going, guys? I just want to talk about the life of a simp. S-I-M-P, simp. Man, honestly, I used to think like simp can only be a male thing, like guys are simps, girls are not. Gender thing. It's more like it's a personality thing, because girls can be simps too. Girls can be simps. They can be in fascination with one dude. It's just like, wow, like it's not a gender thing. It's definitely going to be a very personality thing. It's based on the fact that simps in themselves are people who are very attached to somebody. They do anything and everything to please to, or not knowing maybe that then they're not putting enough value in themselves, and it's kind of like, you know, you would think that this person would give more to get the balance out, but they don't. And it's just like, as I understand, you know, you don't want to be a simp, right? They're like, oh, I want myself a simp. I want a person who can be a simp for me and give me what I want. But it's just like, at the same time, like, that's not how that really works. You need to be able to be an individual, knowing your worth and giving your time to yourself, and then whatever is left over, you give to the person until they give you enough of a reason to make time for them. You know, your free time, you can use it for them, but then once you really are invested in them, then you can start making time for them, because there's a difference between making time for somebody and then just having free time to give that to somebody. If you have free time, it's because you're not really doing anything. But if you're making time, it's that even though you have things to do, you make a way for them to have your attention, to have your time. And like I said, time is a precious thing. You can get money back, you can get something, you can get your objects back, but you can't get time back. That's time that you spend and you just can't get it back. It's just how it is. And that's what it kind of comes into, because when it comes to simps, we talk about relationships, we talk about all those other things. And it's like, how I understand it, relationships are hard in this generation, Gen Z, millennial generation. It's kind of hard because we don't even understand what love is. And me, I'm pretty young. Like, I'm barely gonna be turning 20. But as I understand it, like, love in itself is not as simple as we make it out to be, and we overuse the word, and it kind of loses meaning. And sometimes we don't even know the meaning really, because most of the time we just infatuated the person. It's intense feelings for somebody, it's intense feelings of admiration or attraction for somebody. But in the end of the day, we don't really love them. I see that there's a difference between infatuation and love. Those are two different things. And they necessarily they don't really go hand in hand, because if you have infatuation, okay, it can lead to love if that's what you really want. But if not, it can always stay as infatuation. Infatuation, in my book, it has an allegory to it. It's like a match. You light the match, and then, you know, you let it burn. You can apply it to something like a candle or anything like that, but the match itself is your infatuation. You burn it up, that's the spark you get, and then you have the match, and then it burns through the stick, and then before you know it, you can't relight that match because it's already been burned through. And that's kind of what we do. We get these intense feelings with people, and we get in a relationship. We want to date. We get in a relationship with them, and then we just end up not. It could be a year, it could be 2 years later, and just like wondering, like, what happened, you know? But love is a little bit different from that. How I see it, love in itself is more like cement. You know, you get your mixer, you get it ready, and then you set yourself where you want to put your cement. So you put it down, and then once you put your cement there, you gotta pave it. You gotta put in the work to pave, to leave it the way you want to leave it. And you're not doing it alone, you're doing it with this person, right? You do it with this person, you paving the cement, and then it starts to harden, right? So it hardens evenly and uniformly. So it's more or less what it needs to be. Picture perfect, you know? That is what love is. And when it hardens, that's a gradual process. Now, in reality, the hardening of cement doesn't take as long as hardening of a the bond of love between two people. That takes time. You know, it takes time, it takes effort, and this takes the knowledge of knowing who you're dealing with and knowing their worth, and for them to know the same thing about you, knowing your worth and what you want out of the relationship and what they want, right? At the same time, another thing is relationships we try to base them off 50-50, right? If I give 50, I should be getting 50. But how I see it is love should be, you should love hard regardless. It could be 100-0. Love hard and don't expect anything in return, because in the end of the day, like, if you're giving your all and this person is giving their all, you don't lose. You're always gaining something because you're giving them what they want and you're getting what you want, because you're thinking about them. You're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about them. So you win because you're no longer thinking of yourself, but you're thinking of the other person that you are in a relationship with, that you're trying to build this love with. Infatuation does not really engender this environment where you can really start to love each other. You are infatuated with this person, be out of just basic attraction, or maybe it's a little bit of the things that they like and things like that. But those things never truly last if you're not truly trying to build a relationship. Those type of things come and go. You know, you go to the scene, you go on Tinder, you go on all these other dating apps, and you go to a place to date, you know, walking down the park with strolls on the park or a midnight movie. But those are the moments that you really start to like get an attachment to this person, but you're not in love yet. You're not really having that cement of love, you know, with that person yet. That takes time. And love, you don't really love anybody until you see them more or less at their worst. When you see them at their worst, when you see them when you see their flaws and the mistakes they've made, and still choosing to love them and work these things out with them, because some things you can't just get rid of as much as you would like to, and as much as they make mistakes, trust and believe you'll make your own mistakes. It's not simple, it's not straightforward, it's not like an easy thing to get through. That's why sometimes it just breaks apart, because there wasn't much of a reason to hold on to that. And sometimes we break apart because we're expecting something from somebody, because we're giving it our 50. But when you start giving that 100 and expecting nothing in return, and knowing that you are doing your best no matter what, then you feel like you lose, but you still win, because you are the one that's truly showing that person love, whether they accept it or not. Because at the end of the day, they have their own, they can make their own decision to not want to be in a relationship with you, or they can decide that they're going to start doing what you're doing and start giving themselves to you as you're giving yourself to them. Now, me, myself, I'm not even in a relationship. I'm not.
Say, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
But I'm not disheartening myself from loving again. My thing is, I want to love myself first. Loving yourself is one of the hardest things to do in life, because a lot of the times people want to focus on their flaws, and if they're not focusing on their flaws, there's other people making them feel that they are making them kind of hyper focused on their flaws and their imperfections instead of what they can do right. We rather work with our weaknesses instead of our strengths, and that's why we have a hard time loving ourselves, and that's why we seek validation and attention from other people, because we think that we can't function without other people telling us that we're good, that we're okay. But you have to be willingly to love yourself and move forward, because in the end of the day, you are always going to be in this body. You're always going to be in your mind. So you should love yourself, create an environment where you are healthy on your own. People who fear being alone, fear being lonely, because you are not okay with who you are, so you kind of run to these substance abuse, because or running to other people and having, you know, sexual endeavors, but it's not really satisfying you to where you really want to, not emotionally and not mentally. Physically, you can get it done and be done with it, but a lot of the physical things are ephemeral. They don't last long. It's the things that are emotional or mental that kind of really shape who you are as a person. And when you start to take the hits and let it shape you to a better and stronger person, a better and wiser person, then you can start doing things in a better way and doing things in a way more productive for you. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because in the end of the day, you have to know what you want for yourself. Or if not, if you're never gonna know what you want, you're always gonna be running into the wrong people, because you are never gonna know what you want. So you're letting other people decide for you. But it's time for you to decide for yourself and knowing what you want. There needs to be of a discussion of the things that we go through, instead of always keeping it to ourselves. Especially, you know, in this era, like guys, we don't like to talk about our emotions, but I'm trying to create a safe space where we can talk about what you feel, whether you are a man or a woman or anything in between. It's always a safe space to talk about how you feel, and knowing that, yeah, the simp thing is like, oh, because you care somebody, but it's just willing to love someone and willing to do anything without expecting anything in return. It's a hard thing to do, because you always want something in return. We want to feel validated, we want to feel loved, but sometimes it's not as simple as we make it out to be. But I think that's the end of this discussion, this video today. Thank you guys for watching all the way through. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys. There will be another video coming soon, and I hope you guys have a good day. nathanENT out.